And that's
Yeah,
forcing
I
people to
can
do
see
things
that.
with their property.
Yeah, yeah. But in order for any free business to ever free market or free market, you need government support, which never it's probably not going to happen in a while in the United States because, as I've said, the businesses, the big ones who don't want competition or free market, are buying off the government officials. Because, like, let's put it this way, um, who was that one senator? AOC. You guys know AOC, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Big icon.
AOC. She was living in
That
a
bitch.
apart. Yeah, yeah. She was living in an apartment first year of Congress. A year later, she is living in a $9 million house. Coincidence?
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
No, because she was bought off by businesses, all the PACs and all the money. People were like, "Oh, hey, there's a free senator I can buy." So yeah, and that's a really big problem when you come to try to get government regulation off. There could be that one good senator, one good representative, but they're all paid off. Everyone in there's paid off
KingSithis
at
is
least by
now live
something.
streaming World of Warcraft.
It's
Talk to
sad, but
AnCaps.
that's how life goes right now.
We need to oppose the state.
Yeah, you do, but that's gonna be hard because the state has a lot of stuff that you don't.
That's why we
Like
need to
guns.
privatize more and more and change people's minds, make more can caps.
Yeah, you okay. I'm a more literal type guy, so like it's a great idea to start opposing the state and all that. Like, okay, use your speech, but the state has its own ways of making sure to silence you. The state can do whatever the hell it wants when it looks like it's illegal. Let's put it this way: the World War One, the people who protested the war, right? They didn't like it, and it was making people a lot of money. So those people with money can go to the government, like, "Hey, can you shut them up so I can make more money?" They passed the Espionage Act, that basically says if you speak ill about this war or any war, you're going to get imprisoned. That's what they did in the Iraq War. That's what they did in the other wars. You can't speak out against it because of the Espionage Act. So the government has its own way. Government and big business has its ways of shutting you down so fast that it looks so legal. And you have the people who are blind to this looking at it and just are like, "Oh, okay. That's what it looks like." And also the fun thing called federalizing the National Guard. Do you think the president would give a damn if you're protesting when you can say, "Oh, that's a protest," and you can just say, "Oh, I federalized the National Guard." And he sends them down there, knocking your door down and beating the shit out of you. And nobody would give a shit because it's the president and everyone's scared shitless of something called the National Guard.
Yeah, I
That's
think
why we need to
those are
abolish the
examples of
state.
why we're. I think those are examples of why we we support
Yeah,
getting
genuinely, there's too many power. Like, genuinely, I hate this government. The first government system, like the first system of government, like after the Articles of Confederation, like that government was beautiful because it limited the powers of the president. But the
Seems
president.
like it kind of failed though in the end now. Like
Yes,
look at
they
where we
did.
are now.
They did. Because the presidency expanded under FDR. FDR did great things as president, but he expanded it so much that he wasn't able to relimit it. That's why every other president literally,
Wouldn't you agree that he did bad things then if he expanded the government or no?
yes and no. Because he had to expand his powers and influence to get the United States back on track. Was it bad? Yes. He did try to pack the Supreme Court to make sure he was able to have control of all three branches. That was bad.
Mm-hmm.
A good thing was he created a lot of agencies that helped to bring the United States out of the Great Depression. That's great. But he didn't have any like plan to get rid of them. They were just going to stay there. And I was like, okay, that's not good. And then also the vagueness of the Constitution allowed the presidency to expand. That's the first nub and bullet in the foot was they allowed the vagueness of the Constitution because the Constitution clearly says, quote unquote, clearly says the president's powers. It doesn't not say these powers cannot be expanded because they were expanded a lot, very a lot. Because like
This is why we need to abolish the Constitution.
That's true.
Mm,
I mean, I don't think the
I
Constitution
think we need
has
to
done
rewrite it.
anything.
That's what we need to do.
I
Because
mean, I hear this sentiment, but I just don't really buy it because it's like if it already has failed so horrifically, like what exactly would rewriting it do? Like how would you rewrite it? How would that help
rewriting it,
anything?
okay, we need to rewrite it to limit, not to expand.
Like
Because
what would your ideal constitution like
okay,
basically be?
limit. Okay, the current constitution, it was written so in certain scenarios it could expand itself, which was a good idea back then. But nowadays, it expanded itself so much, it doesn't have anything that says that basically gives it a reason to limit itself. So when the
Shit.
government expands it a lot, they don't want to limit themselves. So that's why there should be a little thing in there saying at this certain point or this certain point, the people should be able to vote to do yada yada this. You know, like recall elections are a certain thing that allows the people to step in when their government's being a complete dumbass nowadays. But that's for state constitutions, not the government. So like,
So like you believe in democracy
yes,
fundamentally.
I love democracy. I don't like this authoritarian
What makes you
democracy.
like what makes you support
So
democracy?
democracy allows you to, as a person to have a voice, but democracy's been abused in the past, like failed democracies. Oh, don't get me started with the Middle East and Africa, bro. Like literally, the United States installing like quote unquote democracies like puppets didn't help at all. Like Afghanistan, for example, they were only a republic for about 13 years due to the fact that they had a dictator president, and then the Taliban was able to sway its population to thinking, oh, this is a better life. So they couped the president, took over Afghanistan. Democracy can't be vague or open to interpretation. It needs to be direct and very clear instead of this vague crap that the United States decided to pull off. Because like the vague crap was able to expand government to the point of where there's no freedom. There's just the government gives you this and you take it.
Okay. I mean, why is it on your view that like so you seem to cite as a reason for liking democracy that like it gives you a say,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay. Um, I mean, I think there are. I mean, it seems like you would probably agree with this. Like within democracy, you can have these kind of situations where if you have certain like special interest groups, large groups of people, whether they're like
Mm-hmm.
sort of like business groups or corporations, or just certain uh, groups of the population who want like certain sorts of policies or regulations, then you're gonna, and I think we've seen this historically play out various times. Um, I mean, we could run through some examples later, but the point I'm making now is that like you're gonna inevitably have when you have this sort of dynamic, um, basically like not always like in some cases minorities, but it could be like the majority of the population that are essentially acting tyrannically and
Yeah.
oppressing certain groups of people where they're basically saying, come on, government, you got to do this for us. Even if it harms this group of people, we want it for X, Y, and Z reason.
Yeah.
And I think that's very dangerous
So
within,
yeah,
and that's kind of
yeah.
why I oppose democracy.
Yeah, okay. So there's that. But also that goes back to my point of saying democracy has to be very direct, very detailed. Because let's put 1935 Germany, for example. It was a democracy, right? Set up pretty.
Hmm.
It had so much failed policy and stuff that the government shit itself so bad that Adolf Hitler was able to tell his population, "I'm going to do better for you," and then he was able to overthrow the government. He was
It
able to do
wasn't
it.
Hitler voted in.
Yeah. Oh, I love talking about that. Not I just love interesting topics about the Weimar Republic. So Hitler was appointed chancellor by the president, and then
Mhm.
his Nazi party was voted in by the people. Yeah, they
Okay,
overrid the
so
government.
people. Okay,
So
yeah.
here's the story. Okay,
Oh shit.
so when the Bundestag, that's what the German legislative building is called, it was burnt to shit by the Nazis. So what happened was they met in like a opera house thing, though. And then Hitler stood up and he said, "This paper gives me the
Wasted.
authority over everything. Pass it or be killed."
Oh
He
yeah, I
said
got
it.
killed.
No,
No,
he
not you.
said it.
Sorry, talking. Go ahead. I'll
Oh
mute.
yeah, sorry. No, you're good. So he held this piece of paper. This was a law that was signed by the president free because he had no choice, saying giving Hitler all this power. So executive emergency power, because at the time they were making it look like the communists were attacking Germany inside. So he did that, and in fear, the rest of Hitler didn't have the majority, but the rest of the parliament was like, "Okay, we pass it." So, and then what happened was when the president of Germany died, because he was basically a figurehead, Hitler merged the position of chancellor and president. So, in some sense, yes, he was voted in, but at the same time, he basically took power legally. And that's what can
Okay.
happen in failed democracies, which is why I'm saying that democracies, if you want it to work and be in the people's favor, it has to be very specific and very detailed. But also, like you
Like,
said, there's a lot of stupid people in democracies that could. That's why I think there also should be fail safes to defend the democracy and not just allow the people to do whatever the hell they want. Because if you want an institution to stay, there has to be fail safes. Like you can't just have a government vote in without some rules and boundaries that needs to stay into. That's why I think the U.S. government has lasted long enough because it has those rules and boundaries in place. But I don't like how it's involving itself with everyday life.
so like, what you mentioned these like, what would you call them, boundaries, rules we should set when it comes to democracy, I guess, to sort of
Mm-hmm.
keep the order. What, like, I just don't know that that resolves anything, because like, what exactly, like, are you referencing when you say like we
So
need to have rules? Like, what kind of like limits on democracy
it goes back to Germany.
do you believe in?
This goes back to Germany. I don't mean rules that limits the democracy. I mean rules that limits what can happen to the
Yeah,
democracy,
yeah, that's
what
what I
can
mean.
involve into.
Sorry, I was
Because
adjusting my chair.
democracy, if the people allow it, it could change it at dictatorship so that. That's why I'm saying people are stupid. Let me put it this way. People are really freaking
Yeah.
stupid. So they'll go anywhere the wind blows. So what I'm saying is you need to have that constitutional failsafe that limits the government from doing whatever the hell it wants. That's why the U.S.
Like, are you saying like if the people want to do something crazy, like most
the
people say
Constitution blocks.
we should enslave this group of people, then
Yeah,
like
if
there
the
will be some
Constitution.
fail-safe.
Yeah, the Constitution blocks
Okay.
it because that acts. It works. It works a lot. Because let me put it this way: if Donald Trump wanted to become a dictator, like right this second, what stops him? Congress, the Constitution, the legal code. Literally, there's a legal code that says the president can't abuse it. Any executive officer can't abuse this or abuse their power. Those boundaries keeps the democracy running. That's what I think we need to have. But what I don't agree with is the powers of the president currently, because that guy could literally turn the U.S. upside down in a day. Because he can declare martial law, he can federalize the state's national guard. If you don't know what federalizing state's national guard, it basically just allows like state national guards, they are under the governor's control. So what the president can do is he can federalize every national guard if he wanted to and just take over the state, basically.
Hmm.
So he has a lot tremendous power. And it's really, really scary to know one person has that. Also, let's not forget the president of the United States has literal briefcases that have access to the U.S. nuclear arsenal. One day he could wake up and be like, okay, I want to end the world. Boom, button pressed, done. There's too much power given to the
That's why I don't
president.
think a woman should be president.
Oh yeah, I don't think I don't know genuinely. That's one of the main reasons I don't want a woman as president is because they have access to that, but also being a military commander in chief, that's another thing.
But
So
I don't
yeah,
want anyone to be president because I'm an anarchist.
yeah. I like order, like a little taste of order sometimes.
I like order. But I like
Yeah, like order.
spontaneous order.
Define that. I don't know what you referred when you say spontaneous. Like, can you define that?
Spontaneous order is just the idea that order or when order arises spontaneously as opposed to having it
Oh, so you mean
forced.
like, oh yeah, it's not a bad idea. I actually think that's a good idea. You know,
Just like the
because
order of the free market,
so
like
you're
what
basically
people want.
saying order is there when it's needed.
Yeah, essentially, order. You only need order when people disrupt the order, and basically, under the state, they enforce their view of order on everybody. But under a spontaneous order, it would be
Yeah, that
it would
kind of.
be
Oh, sorry.
basically done on the market. And what you would see is insurance agencies basically taking up the mantle of protection. They would protect your goods and your body and your property from rights violations. And then you would basically go to them anytime someone would violate your rights. They would pay you, and then they would get restitution from the guy who violated your rights.
Yeah, that kind of goes into like my idea of a quote unquote perfect democracy because the government shouldn't be there 24/7. Like the government should
Government
be
should
there.
what?
Should
No,
not
the
be there
government
24/7.
shouldn't be there
Okay.
24/7. Because like the government should be there when it's needed, like military, defense, stuff like that. But like policing and stuff, like infrastructure, the republic or whatever you call it, like they can be there. But like other stuff, like the market, freedom of speech, and all that, they shouldn't be there 24/7 monitoring any of that. Like, yeah.
How do you decide where the government should get involved? Like, cause you say
I
like you assert that there are certain things like military defense that the government should do, that the free market can handle. Like, what is it about military defense or infrastructure or police
so
that like
let's put it this way. If the free market governed the military, that would be like nothing. Because it would just be like private military companies like splattered out and all that bull crap.
yeah?
Having like a
What would that be? Would that be bad?
that would actually be bad because they would they contradict themselves like 20%. Because like a military is good once it has a top. That's why militaries always don't fall apart so easily because they have a chain of command. With a free market military, you would not have a chain of command. You would have this chain of command, this chain of command, this chain of command, and this chain of command. That's
Well,
why
they
at
could
one unit-
standardize.
They could, but have you ever met a PMC that would like love to have a one standardized thing? No, no. And also, there's nobody at the top to regulate anything. So
The customers regulate
militaries-
them.
That would not work at all.
It does because
For
if they don't do a good job, they could go to another company.
For a national military, that would not work at all.
There would be no
because-
national
be-
military.
Oh yeah, there would be no nation. So it's not like it would just be decentralized military force. Like think about it like this. Like
yeah.
when you have the government, right? Like when they tax, right? Like when they take money from people by force, that's not actually reflecting any sort of market demand. It's not like when you go into a store or something and you buy something voluntarily. It's more like you're living in some country, like you're living in America. The government comes up to you, whatever, right? Just for sake of the scenario, right? The government comes up to you and you got to give it some money and it pays for various services, right? So you're not actually, going like figuratively going to the store yourself and deciding what you want, right? Deciding what kind of military defense or police defense you want, right? So it's not actually reflecting what people want. Like I would say that's a pretty big problem because then the government isn't actually able to figure out what kind of defense, for example, what kind of military defense, for example, do people want? Like where do they want it the most, etc.
So that's my part on where I draw the line in your all's philosophy. Because let me reiterate this: people are stupid, and people don't like when something has to happen. So that's when my philosophy kicks in, that you need government to regulate and defend, but also keep order when it's not even when it's needed, just when it, like, let's put it this way. In your philosophy, if someone were to get shot, the public would either support it or not support it. But there's nothing that stops them from shooting people. There's just the public opinion, which doesn't sound like any order. That just sounds like murder.
I mean, other people can stop people from shooting.
Yeah,
But
but what
you-
gives the Constitution any power?
The people just sucking it up. Currently, actually.
Well, okay, so
modern
then it
time-
seems like the same criticism that you just levied against us can also be applied to the Constitution, because it can only really work if the people agree with it.
Yes, but the people over time have agreed with it. Well, no, they have agreed with it, but they also find it as a necessity modern days.
Well, that can apply to the non-aggression principle.
The philosophy of the day.
It could, but there would be more people breaking it, most likely. Because
No, not if the philosophy of the day changes. Right now, the philosophy of the day is the Constitution, whereas you could change it.
You change decided, but some people no, they just think and then don't decide.
I mean, if people are so stupid, why would we trust like all this power in the government?
That's also part of my philosophy. I'm like, why do we give the governments this much power? But it's just institutional history where the people have been like, okay, we're gonna trust the government. Nowadays, people are looking at it like, why are we trusting these people? And also, we don't even have a choice anymore to elect them because they're gonna slide their way into the office no matter what.
Yeah, so like we shouldn't trust the government, right? Like if people are stupid, people make terrible mistakes, we shouldn't have
KingSithis is now
this
live
centralized
streaming
authority.
World of Warcraft.
But like you
Talk
seem
to
to not.
AnCaps.
You seem to still believe that we need
I
a centralized
believe-
authority to hold order.
Yeah, I still believe that a centralized authority is needed, but it's just really hard to keep that from being full of retards or full of smart people.
Cause like imagine like here's like a simple scenario which I think shows the problem with like centralized authority, and it kind of relates to your whole point about like, you know, oh, people are stupid. Like yeah, I agree. Many people are stupid. They make terrible mistakes. Like imagine you're on like some island,
Mhm.
like a small island, and it's like 10 people, and they're trying to decide what to do if one person decides to like go crazy, or if people start like attacking each other or something, right?
Yep.
And then instead of like coming up with a system of decentralized force where anyone under certain circumstances can use force to like defend themselves, instead they put all that power into like one person's hands, right? So you instead have a centralized authority. I think that pretty clearly lends itself to abuse. Would you agree? Like potential
Yes,
abuse.
I agree. Uh-huh.
Okay. So, given this like clearly inherent problem with centralizing authority like this, what exactly like is your remedy to this?
Goes back to the failsafe. Let's put it this way: a perfect example is recall elections. Do not have federal recall elections at all. There's nothing that allows the people to recall their government when they start seeing their government being full of dumbasses. In my philosophy, in a good democracy, you would have at least a failsafe that people could enact themselves by a petition or something like that to recall the government. Now the problem is you would need a failsafe for like the national infrastructure, like the military and stuff, to follow this recall where they remove their commander-in-chief and stuff, where the commander-in-chief go back and start trying to overthrow them with the military. You know what I mean? Because trying to overthrow a central government is pretty hard, but with failsafe in a constitution or something like that, it allows the people to have more of a distinct voice. But also, I get in your philosophy that without that central barrier or obstacle, it will be more easier. But also, there's, like I said, there's a lot of open debate with that, like what's gonna fund all of it, yada yada. But still, I understand your guys' philosophy, but there's a lot of I have good points and you guys have good points, and it's hard to find a middle ground with it. But
We're right.
So like when you say like we can have like these fail safes. It's like, okay, like imagine some president gets elected, right, in America, and the president just I won't go through the reasons, right? We're imagining this president's like really terrible, and people are like, oh, this president's so
Just say the
garbage.
president decided to run for a 4th term and rigged it and won. Just put it that way.
Uh-huh. So yeah, so you have some scenario like that, and it's like, okay, like, and then they have like a federal recall, I guess, right? Like, and then they, or whatever, like they get this president out of office, however it would work, and then like a new president like gets elected, who's like also terrible, like, and then like their power, like they're still able to slowly, as certain precedents are set, and the presidents like begin breaking rules basically, right? Which, you know, happens over time, I think, like as the Constitution has been bastardized. And then eventually it seems like if you keep, you know, having presidents who are doing these terrible things like incrementally, you're just going to end up with expansion of state power, which ultimately you would agree is dangerous, and it would kind of seem to falsify the claim that like we can have these fail safes in place and like they're going to protect us. It kind of seems like over time they can get eroded, and they have been eroded, and it kind of undermines the idea that you can just regulate the government, like, and keep a limited government if you give it really any power at all. I think that's like a key problem to your idea of like, oh, we can limit the government through like a constitution.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, I think the fail-safe should have like their own regulations as well. Not government regulation, like people regulation, like a certain set of how you're supposed to enact those fail-safe. So you can't just go, oh, I want this guy out. Oh, we're doing this. Oh, all that. Because people, as I said, people are stupid. People hate other people, and people can abuse whatever the hell they want to get those people out of office, as we can see a lot. So there's a lot of ups and downs of both our philosophies, but you know, both of them could work, both of them could not work. Still up to interpretation, because like everyone says, don't knock it till you try it. But yeah, your philosophy. Yeah, your philosophy is probably not gonna ever. It could get enacted after like a certain global disaster or something, but like.
Well, they've enacted it in Honduras. They got Prospera.
Oh, I didn't know that, but yeah, like for a big thing like the United States, it's gonna take a little bit because the government's like has too much grip right now.
Argentina they got a president that's ANCAP.
Oh yeah, I know that. Yeah. But yeah, it's gonna take a good bit for you guys to start hitting the big nations.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a nice philosophy. I'm actually happy I had to debate with people that don't yell in my ear. Like, holy, you don't understand. Like, I joined one of the other VCs, and like they looked at my profile picture, like, and looked at my roles. Like, they literally clicked on me, looked at my roles. They're like, hey, and then it said, and then like what triggered them was the conservative United States male pro-life roles, and they just start crashing out. It's really fun.
Those bitches.
Yeah, I mean,
no, the last time I joined one of these VCs, there's this guy who's sitting in there, and he had his little friend group there, and I was like, prove me wrong, and I joined. I was like, oh, I'm just trying to listen, and they were like, oh no, prove me wrong now, and I was like, I don't want to, but then he was like, oh yeah, that's right, and I'm like, dude, you barely know how to argue because all you do is say, oh, that's right, I'm better. Bullshit.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of retards on here.
Yeah, I need to see what this guy's playing War Thunder on. I must see this.
Who, me?
Yeah, I was gonna look at your stream.
I'm playing World of Warcraft.
Oh.
Yep, it's our little podcast where we talk. Where it's basically I play video games and we talk about we explain ANCAP to people.
Oh yeah, I can't watch it both at the same time. Sorry, because like it's very delayed.
No, I get that. Yeah.
I would though, but yeah, there's probably
Maybe
the
some
only,
other time when you're not in
yeah,
it.
yeah. There's probably one that I like you kind of guys because like you don't scream in my ear when I disagree. You just think about it and then find another thing
I could.
instead of just.
Ah!
But yeah.
I mean, we don't really like. No, we don't do that unless like the other person, or at least I don't do that unless like. No,
Yeah,
Sithis doesn't
I
like
never
unless the
do
other
that.
people are like being like dicks. Like,
Yeah,
cause there's a lot of people who come in here like who would be like sarcastic pieces of shit or like just like be annoying and
I
like
never do that. I just
interrupt.
sit
It's really
there and
annoying.
just rage bait the entire time because, like, I love it when they keep yelling at me and acting like I give two fricks. Like, if they go, and I'm just like, okay. And then they just get pissed off because I'm not giving them the reaction they want. It's really fun. Really fun indeed.
Yeah, I mean,
But,
people.
yeah. Kind of scared to see if I, like, join one of these panhandlers or pansexual VCs, queer and atheist VCs. Uh-uh.
People are scary.
What do they talk about in the? Okay.
I guess queer and atheist shit. I guess being queer and atheist.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh man.
Hello.
What's up?
up,
What's
man?
up?
Not much. How have you been?
I've been good.
I'm chilling.
Good to hear.
All right.
I was having a debate with a Zionist earlier. Or not really a debate, I was asking him questions. But a little bit confused by it, but that's a whole other topic.
It's an odd
be back.
What
topic.
was his argument?
I'm gonna see what
Well-
this on it.
Okay, who's speaking? I couldn't hear.
It's Cameron. I was asking like what was their argument. I don't really like interact with those kind of people.
Oh, I was asking him about a poll where 82% of Israelis supported expelling Gazans, and he, I don't know for 100% sure this was intentional, but it might have been. He cited basically a poll, a different poll, that was down in the articles, and he basically confused me, in the heat of the discussion, of thinking, oh, it was like a Channel 13 poll, or also she said Channel 12. I thought it was Channel 13, and it's like when I looked at it afterwards, once the discussion was over, it's not. It was a different study.
What is
And
Channel 13?
Actually, I suspected during the discussion. It's an Israeli source. It was actually in
Okay.
Hebrew, and of course when I clicked on it, my internet had problems because it wouldn't load an English translation. So that was an issue. But like, I'm just confused. It's like you had to scroll down pretty significantly to get to that. Like, I'm starting to think he might have been manipulating me on that one, and that's what I'm like.
Wait,
kind
how
of
is he
confused
manipulating
about.
you?
Well, no, because when I really shouldn't have fallen for that. I guess I'm like more tired than usual. Like, well, so the article is from like Genocide Watch. It says basically poll shows majority
Hey guys, I'm
of
heading to
Israelis
bed, guys.
support expelling Gazans, and the actual poll is from Haaretz, which was done on.
Hey guys, I'm heading to bed, guys.
In June, basically.
See you.
Okay, I'll see you around.
Have a good night, everyone.